Shut up and sit down.
And welcome to the Nerds at Large Spoilercast for Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Holden.
I'm Jeff Mayo.
And we are joined by two awesome guests once again. Go ahead and introduce yourself in whatever way you want this time. Go for it.
Holden, you go first. I go first all the time. Go.
Okay. Hi, my name is Holden. I'm a co-host on Respawn Aim Fire, a kick-ass relevant gaming podcast, every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Chad, are you also on the same podcast?
I am on the same podcast. Hi, my name is
Whoa.
Chad Michaelinis, co-host of Respawn Aim Fire, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast, every
Thought I
Tuesday at 9
recognized
a.m.
you.
That's so weird. I've never really thought about saying Tuesday at 9 a.m. before. It
It is
weird, like we're a television
That
show.
is a time and a day.
Yeah, but we
It
are
is.
Tuesday at 9 a.m. It's usually, well, except last week.
Eastern Standard Time as well.
Yes.
That's weird.
Just like a TV show,
Simple.
you're right.
I know, it
Speaking
sounds
of
very official.
TV,
TV, like what we just watched?
yeah.
Yeah, In-Game. We're here to talk about In-Game, right?
Woo! What a good movie.
Oh, it's a phenomenal movie, but that is not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Game of Thrones, and they did it. That sure was an 82-ish minute battle, all right.
It was the longest battle ever put on film. That is true.
That was a great quote. New York Times says that sure was an 82-ish minute battle, wasn't it?
I wanted to just be like, quote, it was 82 minutes, exclamation point. Like, that's the quote.
Put it on the box.
I kind of feel it's like all there is to say about the episode, honestly, though, is it was a
Oh,
really
no. There were
long
so
battle.
many really, really great moments. And then there was a lot of filler. And I was like, all right. But then there were some really great moments.
There
Yeah,
were some good moments.
It's kind of funny that, this episode is probably actually going to be, the least amount we have to discuss, ironically, even though it's, the big episode. But, yeah, just because a lot of it is yep, there was battle and then more battle. There's not much to say about it, even if it's really
Hey,
cool.
look, Mook's getting stabbed.
What?
Mook's the grunts.
Okay.
Oh, I was about to say, is there a character named Mooks that I haven't
Yeah, I was
known
like,
about
who's
for 8
Mooks? How do I not know Mooks?
It sounds like it could be a Game of Thrones character. Who knows?
It was the fifth soldier that died at the beginning of the episode.
Really, really sad.
Yeah.
Well, let's just go. What did you guys think about the episode? Because we did not talk to you about it any before we started recording, so I honestly don't know. What do you guys think about it?
I'll start off. I think that they haven't posted the title for the episode yet. I think it should be titled "Highly Convenient: The Game of Thrones Episode," because
Deus Ex Machina.
yeah, it was just
Game of Thrones.
it was so convenient the whole episode to a point where it actually really bothered me. Every time a character's about to die, someone just jumps out of the woodwork to save the day, and then I guess it's a spoiler cast. I have to say spoiler alert. At the end, when Arya jumps out and kills the Night King like that, I just was really.
Oh, I thought that was so
dope.
badass, though. I thought it was so good.
But where did she come from? How did she get past all the undead that only Theon was fighting against?
A girl has no name. Yes. She lives in the shadows.
It was just.
And
it
also-
didn't make sense. It was out of nowhere, and I was already annoyed with the convenience of everyone being saved. And I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" I was really, really annoyed by that. But it was a cool episode. Other than that, it was cool. It was just the convenience bothered me a lot.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
I would say that. Yeah, it was exhausting. It's one of those episodes where I came out at the end saying there was a lot that was really great about that, but also how did all of our favorite characters survive?
Exactly.
With a few exceptions.
Yeah.
They do that last panning shot, and it's literally just Jaime Lannister and Brienne and Podrick standing against the wall by themselves. It's how did they survive that entire battle?
Yeah.
And then
That was the last 30 minutes where it was just pretty much them.
yeah.
Somehow they survived the whole time.
And outside of Jorah Mormont, every character death was kind of oh yeah, that's right. They were in the show at one point. It wasn't
Jorah
anyone.
and Theon are the only two. Yeah.
Yeah, Jorah and Theon are the only two major ones, and outside of that, it was just kind of characters. Characters oh yeah, they were good.
Well, there
I
were
guess.
only 4, maybe 5 characters that died total
Yeah, out of
in
the
this
tens
giant
of
war
thousands.
where Winterfell got decimated. There were only 4
We
named people
count
that
them, I
died.
think it might be 5 or 6 counting Melisandre, which we.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, as far as the characters we have Lyanna Mormont, Jorah, Theon, Ed, Beric, the Night King, and Melisandre.
Yeah.
As far as major characters.
Which, honestly, like I told Jeff before this, that was about the lowest rung of characters, aside from Jorah.
Yeah.
And Theon.
And Jorah and Theon, even though like I expected Theon to die.
Yeah.
Like, it was the end of his arc for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He saved, again, very conveniently saved his sister. He redeemed himself. Now he can die.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess I'll get into, like, this is something I think we're going to be discussing this whole episode, is I do think Game of Thrones has a serious Deus Ex Machina problem where, like, and I'm getting really sick of whites, you know, whenever it's a no-name person, they will just pounce on them and rip them apart, but then when it's someone we know and care about, they'll, like, pin them down and breathe on them and just wait to get cut down.
Yeah.
Or, like John will be the only person in this entire field, and then they just like one by one slowly walk
Yeah,
up
they
to
just
him
start walking.
and just let them. It's
And then Daenerys saves the day out of nowhere. Like,
And then the bitch fucking just sits there on the ground after he runs away and lets that dragon get swarmed by shit.
yeah.
Bitch, fly! You're on a dragon!
yeah, it's just like Game of Thrones has been doing this for a while with, you know, crazy like people getting saved at the last second. Just the thing about this episode is it was like 80 minutes straight of that.
Oh, no, it's exactly like The Walking Dead. The way a lot of it looked.
That's the reason why I don't watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I fell off that.
But I
a
mean,
long
that
time
being
ago.
said, there were so many cool things in this. I mean, I am conflicted. I mean, it was a spectacle to watch for sure.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about
Absolutely.
the first 10 minutes? Like how, like if we're talking about good things that are like things this did well, that the tension that it builds in the first 10 minutes, and you see like everyone is fucking terrified and we're all waiting. And you even start to think like, are they even there? Is the army even out there? All you see is this pitch black hole. And you get that moment of like, oh my God, they might actually have something when Melisandre makes all the swords light up in fire and they run out. And then just one by one, they just start flickering out until you don't see anything anymore. You're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting
Devastating
goosebumps
moment.
right now thinking about it.
And most of the episode is that devastation like that. You're like, oh, holy shit. Like, there's just no way that they can make it out of this. And that ramped up throughout most of the episode, minus those small moments.
Yep.
Yeah, and I do admire them for a battle that lasted this long. For them to, I feel like they changed up the way they were presenting it enough to where it kind of like kept changing, like that start where it's like you don't even see the army and you just slowly see the lights go out and then you see the look on everyone's faces and it kind of builds that dread, and then it's just all out chaos, and then in between the chaos you kind of see smaller moments of people like, you know, ducking away. It straight up becomes The Last of Us whenever Arya was like sneaking around in the library.
Yes. She even like throwing the book to distract them. I was like, this is straight up a video game right now.
But it definitely kind of was like, how many different ways can we show you the same thing to keep you interested? And I think it almost worked. I do think I told Jeff right when we finished, they had said that they added 20 minutes to this episode, and I feel like this episode was about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah.
It was the 20 minutes they added was all of Arya in the library and like sneaking around the tunnels. That's the entire 20 minutes that they added.
If so, we did not need that. I mean, I think this episode could have been 20 minutes longer, and it probably would have felt a little better. Because I was, as weird as it is to say it, I was getting a little bored watching this, just because at some point the action and the violence stops meaning something when it's just like relentless for.
Yeah, there
hour
were
and
a
a
few
half.
times when I was thinking, I was like, hey, remember that tweet I got earlier today? Huh, that's kind of weird. Like, oh, fuck, sorry, Game of Thrones is on. Shouldn't be thinking about that tweet I got earlier today. And like, well, missed more stabbing.
Also, too, so many of the shots, and this is not bad, it was actually kind of cool, because the storm made it really hard to tell what was even happening sometimes, which kind of added to that tension. But again, after so much of that in the kind of earlier parts of the episode of that blizzard coming in, I'm like, okay, all right, it's just people smashing swords right now. That is all that is happening.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like this one, in some ways, is going to be a little less memorable than like Battle of the Bastards, which happened in like broad daylight and you could just see this carnage. Whereas in this battle, it makes sense for this battle, but in this battle is a lot more like, I don't even know what's going on. There's just people, like, there's fire and dark. And like,
I think I can tell who that is. Are they dead? Oh, no, they're not.
Another great thing about this episode. Sorry, I'm going to be the person that keeps bringing it back to positivity, y'all.
You go for it, Chad. Don't let us hold you down.
The score of this episode, I think, was a real standout piece of composition right there. Like, it was all really great, but especially that last, 15-minute song that started with just the piano, solo piano, and then just built up slowly through the entire thing up to Arya stabbing the Night King. It was so... I can't wait for that to be on Apple Music and me to just listen to that nonstop.
Yeah, I agree. That is one thing that has just gotten better and better as Game of Thrones has gone on. I instantly think of Cersei blowing up the set, that piano music plays there. And and this was had so much. It had the epic battle music, and then it would just go completely silent besides just the piano, and it gets you. It's they really know what they're doing when it comes to the scoring Game of Thrones at this point, for sure. Well, do you guys want to kind of maybe we can try our best to go through this? I didn't really take notes this time because I didn't really see much of a point. It was kind of just battle. But maybe we can just kind of do our best to go through it and then just pick out moments that we think need to be, said. I guess first off, what do you guys think about Melisandre coming in and just hey guys, I learned some fire stuff. This might be useful. I don't know.
It was a very cool moment. I was confused. Why didn't she do it to everybody's swords? Why just the Dothraki?
Because they were the only ones that didn't have dragon glass.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah,
everyone else had dragon glass or Valyrian steel.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I do think this was cool. I was a little worried. I was like, are they just going to win this battle because Melisandre comes in at the last second with some fire magic tricks? But
well, that helped.
It helped. It definitely helped a lot, yeah.
Well, I was thinking they're giving us this hope at the very beginning of the episode. That's not good.
It's too early.
It's too early. So it was kind of a cool moment for that reason of actually, this is hopeful, but dreadful. Can't be that good.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a subversion.
Do we know what was Melisandre doing before this, though? Because she's not been in season 8 at all.
I was just thinking about where did that bitch come from?
Last season, she said she was going to Essos, but she didn't say what she was doing. And she said she was going to Essos and that she would return. But she was very cryptic and weird about it. So Essos is where she's from, and that's where all the R'hllor fire worshiper people are.
Oh, so that's where she learned the fire trick.
Yeah, I assume she was just studying up and it's if you say these words, you can turn everyone's sword to fire. That sounds useful.
You just gotta say it over and over again until something happens.
Which I did I also like that shot of her when she's saying it confidently over, and then the closer they get, the more frantic she's like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and when she's in the trenches, she's like,
oh
God. Yeah.
Yeah, that was super cool. Well, what happened next? So I did love the Dothraki running in there, the light slowly coming. Yeah. I thought where we were heading, I thought the lights were going to slowly come out, and then that same horde of Dothraki were going to come straight back as lights. That's what I thought was going to happen. But it not exactly. I just I thought that's why they were hanging on that shot, is you were just going to go, you're going to hear the and they're all just going to be marching straight back at them and be like, oh God.
I was also just so relieved to see Mormont come back. Because I'm oh, they're all dead. Holy, when the flames went out, I'm they're all dead. That's it. Oh man, what a very Game of Thrones anticlimactic way to end a character. Oh yeah, Sir Jorah Mormont was in that crowd, and they're all dead. I guess.
Speaking of, but do we can assume Ghost died there too?
Didn't a wolf run back?
Ghost was that group.
Yeah, he was.
I feel like they would have showed Ghost dying,
I thought they did show Ghost. I saw a wolf run back, didn't he?
I don't remember.
You probably did, because again, if Ghost died, I think
they would have made a thing of that. Yeah.
They also didn't make a thing of him just suddenly being back at Winterfell. He was just in the background of a shot last episode. I'm oh, okay, I guess he's there. So maybe they're not making a big deal of him being dead.
Maybe
they forgot.
I feel like they would have just conveniently not included him if they were going to do it this way.
Yeah, they have it out. It's not they've not included Ghost in places that he should have been for 2 seasons now. So they could have just not had him in the battle if they weren't going to do that. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that. But
into the forest.
He's going to live as a wolf in the forest now.
He's man, these people are screwed. I'm just going to do it on my own.
Screw this. I guess it was around this time we did get, I guess, the most unceremonious death, or one of the most unceremonious deaths, was Dolores Ed. He like picked Sam up and he's like, "Sam, run away!" and then like knife through the face.
Yep.
That did get me a jump. I was like, "Oh shit!" I mean, I kind of expected him to die, but that still,
Yeah.
that was very sudden.
Yep.
Very sudden, but again, one of those characters you're like, oh yeah, that's right. He was in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a name? That's right. I forgot.
And that's the thing. Game of Thrones kind of doesn't do the quick, unceremonious death for a major character anymore. Like if someone dies that's major, it's gonna be slow motion. The music swells and they gently fall to the ground.
Dying in their loved one's arms.
Yeah.
I know Jorah Mormont's was kind of, I mean, he had some slow motion stuff that was more of like, is everyone going to make it? It wasn't necessarily focused on just Mormont. And then when he died, it was just like, yeah, he just stopped talking. He didn't even say anything. He just died.
Yeah.
It was a little unceremonious.
Yeah. But you got
He had the
Daenerys' ugly
Dragon
cry, I
Queen
guess,
crying with him in her arms, and then the dragon came to comfort them.
I don't know.
I'd say that was a little bit of ceremony.
No, but like it wasn't a slow motion like sequence though. Like he didn't say like, you know, Daenerys, I always loved you or something like that. Like he just
no,
died.
but she knew.
Like
'cause
he
he'd said
just
that
died.
enough.
Her emotional reaction is different. He just died is the point. He just died.
After several stabs in defending her.
Okay, fine. I'll take it back. I guess I was just surprised that he didn't say
Stabbed
anything.
straight in the gut, and then he
I'm just saying he
stands
didn't say
back up,
anything,
and
though.
she just reaches out like, "How the fuck are you standing?" And then he's like, "All right, here we go." And then everyone else dies, and he's like, "Cool, I can drop dead too."
All right, fine. I'm just saying he
Boy,
didn't say
tell me
anything.
you love me.
There's no like. There's no moment. It was just he just died. I'm just saying that was the point.
Well, they've
But you're right, there was a
conditioned us
big
at this
build-up.
point. I just expected that he took like 5 sword stabs to the chest and that he was going to get up and be like, "Oh, that hurt anyway. I'm good."
I just need to sleep for a few hours and I'll be good.
Just need to drink some milk. I'll be fine. But just focusing on the like positive thing, I do think I have to imagine this is similar to the Battle of the Bastards, that like they pretty much did have an army that big marching, because they pretty much did for that too. And just the sheer amount of just people, just how far this went, and just seeing when they do start finally attacking, just that mob of whites running at the same time. And I'm sure that was a bitch to film.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere it took 59 nights to film this
55.
battle.
55
55?
nights. 55 nights. Yeah.
Good Lord.
What a toll that's got to take.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good God. And just the pyrotechnics and everything that went along with that. The giant catapults, just all the horses and just everything about it. Like, this is, again, like, I honestly think it's probably, like, controversially, this is gonna be one of my, not least favorite, but this is gonna be far from one of my favorite Game of Thrones episodes, but it is by far the most impressive most impressive episode they've ever done.
Like also,
a mile.
like Lord of the Rings battles and that kind of stuff bug me because it's most of the movie. Whereas like a big battle like this doesn't really bother me as much because it's one episode of this giant TV show. So like there's emotional impact when things happen. So like it didn't bother me in terms of being a big battle in that sense.
Right. Because you still have those moments where, like, when you see Sansa and Tyrion looking at each other before they make the decision to run out, like, that means something.
Exactly.
Because we had all of that character development beforehand.
Over 8 years. Well, for me, a year, but for other people, 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still like 70 hours of content, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
plus that, you have built over it. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to think. I mean, like, I definitely want to talk about, like, towards the end, but I'm trying to think if there's any, like, moments we need to talk about. 'Cause it's really hard with an episode like this.
Lady Mormont and the Giant.
Yeah.
I think that was a fitting way for her to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big guy.
Yeah,
The littlest person taking
I-
on the biggest guy out there.
And she just ran for him, too.
hmm
I wasn't 100% sure she was dead until we saw that she turned. Like, I
same
thought
here.
that she was still going to be
I was
alive.
Her
wondering
whole
too,
body
but
got
then-
crushed.
Well, they didn't show
I was
her
gonna
die,
say,
though.
when they faded out, like made the camera go back when she was on the ground, you could kind of see it looked like people like stepping on her a little bit, like on her head and stuff. And if she was alive, they probably would have started ripping her apart.
Yeah, okay, I must have missed that part. I thought it was another one of those where it's like, why is this giant slowly picking her up and slowly moving? That's just like everyone moves in slow motion whenever they grab a character that has a name. They're just like, oh, you're special.
I'm gonna take extra time killing you.
But I mean, I do respect them for actually killing her, though. Okay, I didn't think that they did, so that's kind of brutal. But
Yeah, so is the Morbot family like done now? Because I think they're all dead.
Probably. Aren't most families done now? Like everyone's dead, but like 6 people.
yeah, I think there's might be Mormont men, but like, yeah, I don't know about the family. I mean, there might be some.
I think in
people
like
back
season 7 or I think it was 7 where they were asking her like, how many men can you send us? And she's like 16 or something like that. I'm like, that's it? She's like, yeah, but they fight well. Like, those 16 men are dead.
Hey, those are Mormont men, Chad. So yeah, they're dead.
Yeah.
They're
guys froze a
just
bit.
like everyone else.
I assume what you said is funny based on your facial expression.
Oh, it's hilarious. It was just so funny.
You're right.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, well, I guess we can move on to Last of Us time.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm really. I mean, this was weird to me. This kind of felt like a weird. Like, I was also like, how is any place in this castle this quiet? It was like with all the
I
chaos
was
going
thinking
outside.
that
It's like,
too,
how is anywhere this quiet? You should be hearing.
that
like,
you can hear blood drop on the floor. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. But this felt a little weird to me, especially because, like, I don't know about you guys, but I basically had zero fear that Arya was gonna die through any of this.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about that either.
I don't know. She
So
got her bang on. She got that one. She got that good, which means she could die.
At the
now.
end, I thought she was going to die for 2 seconds.
When?
Well, the thing with the Night King was when he grabbed her.
Oh,
Because I expect her to be actually.
I did think she might die there, and that was fine. But like, during this, like in the middle of this battle, I did not expect her to die from these random White Walkers, especially after they like prolonged the scene for like 10 minutes of her sneaking through the castle. I was like, okay, this is getting a little dull, just because again, they're not going to kill her like this.
And Hound and Barrack to the rescue.
I don't trust them. And yeah, but there are a number of characters that I think is kind of egregious that didn't die, and you guys can let me know if you think the same way. Brienne and Sam are 100,000% one of those that were just in like 9 different times where they should have died. And I think the Hound, I mean, Barrett did die. The Hound is another one that I feel like, I thought he was going to die saving Arya, and I'm like, yes, this fits.
He has
That
to
was
die
Barrack's
fighting
shot.
the mountain, though.
This is, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the moment I saw Healy. I was like, oh, we're getting the Clegane Bowl 100%.
Yeah, it's happening now because Cersei's the only threat, which we will definitely spend the back half of this episode just talking about the future. But
Yeah.
A moment before the library incident that I really just loved is when the zombies start to put out the fire by just dousing themselves and putting it.
Oh,
on.
yeah.
That was
yeah.
a really cool. You're like, oh no, like that was a great moment right there. The dragon fights in the sky.
yeah.
They were cool, but I kind of felt like fluff. Like I don't know if we really needed all of that.
Yeah, I thought like more was gonna happen in that. Like I thought it was gonna be, there's the battle in the ground, the battle in the skies, but I feel like the battle in the sky, they just kind of flew around, bit each other a little bit, and then joined everyone down below. Like I thought we were leading to something a little bit more.
And
It was mostly just flying through the snow, not knowing what you're looking at.
yeah.
I like Davos being like a plane director.
Yeah.
Light the trench.
Although I did love when the dragon was biting the shit out of the other, like bit off half of the other dragon's face and was like biting its neck. And then later in the episode, when you see that dragon come back and breathe fire, the fire's coming out of its neck from all the holes in it.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's cool.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Either. That's cool. That was cool. I mean, I definitely think the dragon fighting, like, it looked way better than the How to Train Your Dragon moment.
Oh my god, yes.
Well, it's because it's partially covered by snow.
Like, honestly, it probably helps doing all of this choreography and all this CGI when you put it at night and you can barely tell what's going on. That definitely helps hide a lot of things. But I definitely was worried after episode 1. I was like, oh boy, when we get to this battle, is this just going to look rough? But I think it looked cool. Like, I believed that they were actually in there. Yeah. They were actually riding the dragons and fighting.
Did Daenerys' dragon survive? Did both dragons make it?
We believe so.
I don't
Yeah.
think we really find out what happened to the one that John's was. I assume the one that came back for Daenerys later was the one that was flying up in the air with all the shit on him, and then they all just fell off.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a little weird that we didn't get any, like, we just saw him, like, wrapped up in whites, and then I feel like we just didn't get the resolution of that. He just kind of showed up at the end.
Yeah.
I assume that she stabbed the Night King, and then they all just fell off of him. I think that was the same dragon, because he came back, and you could hear him kind of wheezing a bit, as if he had been stabbed a shit ton.
Yeah. And then John's, I don't exactly remember. I mean, there was so much going on, but I just remembered, like, John fell off of him, and then I don't remember.
Yeah, I think the dragon hit like sliding, and then I don't think we ever saw it again.
Yeah. So I guess we don't completely, but I have a feeling if that dragon died, we would have saw it happen.
How long do you think this whole battle actually was? Because that whole last, like, 20 minutes was actually, like, 30 seconds worth of stuff happening from 50 different angles.
I think the whole battle was the whole night. It was
because at the end the sun comes up.
You're right, because Melisandre.
Yeah. Also, the episode title's up now. It's called The Long Night. So
it's not just episode 70.
It's not just episode 70 anymore. No.
That's funny. Okay, well, like, we're gonna slowly build up to Arya and then just talk about the future. I think those are the two biggest things. Beric dies. Again, I was worried that he wasn't going to die when he, like, crawled into the room with them.
Yeah, how did he get back in that room without any of the whites coming in?
Mm-hmm.
Plot?
Plot.
Because Arya and Melisandre are in there. Melisandre has to have her, like, cool death, and Arya has to kill the Night King. Duh, Chad.
You're right.
I was always going to be like, he served his purpose. That's why the Lord kept on bringing him back.
But I mean,
so
like,
that
she
you
could
could
have said
jump
that
out
while
of a tree and stab the Night King.
She could have said that while he was dead in the hallway. He didn't have to be dead in the room.
Yeah, I agree. They could have just been mourning Beric in this room, like, oh god, he's dead. And Melisandre's like, he's fine, whatever. He did his purpose.
He's died like a dozen times. He's fine.
This is nothing new to him.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. I like Beric a lot in the books. In the shows, he's not. I don't know. He's there's not. He's just kind of weird flaming sword guy who drinks with the Hound, and nothing too much more than that. So don't feel too much for him. I think we can move on to the final thing with Theon and everyone else, unless there's something you guys. If there's anything choreography wise, which is most everything, is there anything you guys want to touch?
I just wanted to call out how insignificant Arya's stick was.
She did some badass stuff with it, but then she kind of lost.
But it's like it was just another stick, though, and there was no like trick where, oh my god, it comes apart in two pieces, and then there's a fucking magic wand in the middle of it, and everything lights on fire. It's like, no, it's just literally a stick made of dragon glass. Why did they make such a big deal out of that?
Because
she could take it apart.
The big deal that scene was she's talking to Gendry. That was the big deal that scene. Yeah.
Make this for me, and it's literally just him naked on the page.
There was a more important stick in that scene, Jeff.
So, are we talking about like the whole Night King scene now? Is that what we're talking about now?
Yeah, I think so. I'm kind of surprised by how little there is to talk about, but it's just like when it's a whole battle, that's kind of the way it goes. But let's go into it. If we can circle back if we remember anything.
I'm just surprised that Bran didn't look at the Night King and say, "I'm the three-eyed raven." And just also tell the Night King that, because he tells every single person that.
You looked beautiful on your wedding night. Oh wait.
What
and
was
then the Night King
Bran
blushes.
doing? Like, I feel like the entire episode, he's just like, I'm gonna be a flock of seagulls right now, y'all, for the whole episode. And
what
done
was
something.
the purpose of that?
I mean, the beginning it was to see where the Night King was, I think, but then after a little while, I agree. It's like, so was he doing exactly?
Yeah, he didn't do anything with that information. It's just the Night King still came, just like
I want to watch and eat some popcorn, y'all, while y'all fight around me.
This gives me an excuse not to talk to you, Theon.
Yeah. It almost seemed like Bran knew something we did. Like,
we're on the elevator together, and we know it's gonna be a while. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm just gonna roll my eyes up and go away. Whoop.
Time to be a raven.
It was just a little confusing. Did Bran think he was about to die? I mean, like, he said, "You're a good man, Theon." Like, I think he knew Theon was gonna die, but like, I don't know. That was
also, is Theon a good man?
Everyone. Is anyone on Game of
things.
Thrones truly a good person? Is anyone truly a good person?
Ned Stark.
Podrick.
Podrick's a good man.
Brienne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some good ones.
Boom!
I mean,
In your face.
I think Theon is like just as much a good man as like Jaime is.
Oh, Jamie's not a good
In
man.
the same way that Jaime's done terrible things and Theon's done terrible things, and I think they've redeemed themselves. The Theon death is the only one that really got me. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Jorah, I'm like, I like Jorah, but it didn't get me that.
I
much.
didn't feel anything for any of the deaths, which was weird.
I didn't feel much for any of them, and I expected Theon to come. So like Theon, I wasn't like, oh God, Theon. I was like, yeah, I mean Theon's gonna die. But it was still just like, I was just happy to kind of see Theon's arc come to a close. And at least he died trying to protect Bran, which is cool. But
I don't know, can you say try? Because try implies there's a chance.
he gave his best shot. Don't think there has to be a chance. He did his best.
Oddly enough, his best shot is being weak as fuck and not the most skilled fighter, but somehow still the last one standing at the end of that battle.
Yeah.
Plot.
Again,
Plot,
because...
plot.
But then we have, like, we already talked about it a little bit, but let's just go into it more. This Night King scene, it drives me crazy for so many different reasons. Number one, if the Night King had just walked over to Bran at a brisk pace and just stabbed him, like, if he had not been, like, taking his time and let me do it, like, let me just, like, stare at you for a little bit and then slowly pull out my sword and do this, he could have killed him, like, 30 seconds before Arya was even there. Also, like you said, Arya is able to sprint past this swarm of whites that are just watching her walk by.
She was wearing one of the whites' faces.
They're surrounded. And this is my problem with the show in recent times. It's like, I'm not someone, like, I don't need, like, a death quota. I'm not like, oh, you have to kill this amount of people or it's not good. But you can't put people in situations where they've lost. They did the thing wrong and they're surrounded and they're pinned down or they're whatever, and then just constantly have no repercussions for it. Like, they want the shock of having, like, oh, your hero's lost. Oh, no, they didn't. You know, just over and over again. It just gets relentless after a while.
Yep. That same
To me,
moment earlier, like, first of all, why did Jon Snow even stop running? If he just didn't stop running, he could have slashed him before he got all the zombies up. But he decided to stop 10 feet away and then let everyone else rise up. I was like, stupid. But the Night King, he's never moved quickly. Do you think he like has arthritis or something like that? Or maybe that's what's keeping him from, because he's never done anything quickly. Maybe he just can't.
I mean, I just feel like he's very methodical. He doesn't have to move quickly because he just makes all the right moves, except for letting Arya kill him. Which I feel like...
He made that move on purpose, but it was the wrong move.
When she dropped the knife, I feel like he just should have grabbed it. I just feel like that's not out of the realm of possibilities. He was able to know that Jon Snow was 100 yards behind him, but had no idea that knife was being dropped. No clue.
He was distracted because everything he wanted was right in front of him. He was going to go kill the three-eyed raven.
That's a great point. And one thing we know with the Night King is he succumbs to his emotions a lot.
Yeah,
he definitely has a weak will.
If you could hear his inner monologue. Whew.
It was a little weird to me. It did almost feel a little out of character to me when Daenerys tried to burn him and it didn't work, and then he just like had this like evil anime smile at her. And I'm like, is he supposed to be like feeling emotions like that? It's almost like he was like, yeah, screw you.
Yeah.
All according to Kikaku.
I mean, that was straight up like out of an anime. Like, shoots the fire on him and then he just walks out like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, it would have been really, because the fire makes sense. They've established that he can just like walk through fire. But it would have been great if he just was just, as the dragon is just raining down onto him, he literally just walks and just keeps walking. It doesn't even like consider
while
the fire
it's
at all.
shooting the fire, pick up the spear and throw it.
Yeah.
Not wait till it's done and then slowly telegraph your movements so they have time to fly away.
That's all right. Well, it's gonna go right back to that. He couldn't have grabbed the knife.
Arthritis.
If that's the response to the dragon, I think he made a strong point there.
Yep.
That he also couldn't have grabbed the knife. It's a connection.
That's the great thing that saved Game of Thrones was arthritis. Saved Westeros.
Could be on a plaque one day.
That's going to be global warming's downfall too.
Yep.
Arthritis.
So strong that it has arthritis.
Jeff, do you feel about the same way with just the Night King and Deus Ex Machina and just everything about Game of Thrones right now?
Yeah, it was all too convenient. I mean, again, going back to how every known character survived for the most part, or the major ones, the fact that they got sworn multiple times. Yeah, we talked about them being saved by some reason, but there at the end there, we saw them getting swarmed, and then they just weren't later.
Yeah,
they just survived because.
Yep.
I mean, this is yet again, Jon was in the empty field with no allies swarmed by White Walkers, and they just kind of don't.
He also kept on running towards a dragon for some reason.
Like, Jon is a fucking idiot. But he just gets away with it more than any other character in the show.
He's literally died and then came back again.
I know. They can't do it. They just can't get rid of him. The plot armor is too damn strong. And it just bugs me because I don't feel like this is what Game of Thrones always was. And I don't want to sound too negative. It's still a lot of fun to watch. But at the same time, I'm someone who doesn't watch like much TV at all. And I started watching Game of Thrones because it felt like they were subverting all these things that I normally see in a bunch of action movies and stuff like this. And honestly, last season and then this episode definitely shows that, like, if this was a TV show that was just like started now and it was like this, I would not really be interested in watching it, to be honest. Just me personally. Yeah. I just feel like I don't know. It's kind of like leaning into the kind of like cliche tropey stuff that it is kind of George R. R. Martin built it to subvert.
Well, yeah,
and it's just a bummer.
He literally said one of the big reasons he wrote this series was he wanted there to be battle sequences where you actually wondered if the hero was going to make it or not, because they could easily just die. And just the most egregious example is the Night King dying. I mean, he's a threat that's been coming up for years in the show. And he was taken out as if he was nothing. And it was just, I don't know. Like, I keep going back to that, and I'm really bummed that's how he died. It was just super, like, I expect that out of the end of a Marvel movie. I don't expect that in Game of Thrones.
Well, and honestly, it fits more in a Marvel movie because that's the tone they've established. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, like, I'm not going to be as critical of that, not because I'm, like, giving it a pass. It's just, that's not what it, like, I judge things by how well they do what they're setting out to do. And just back in like season 1 of Game of Thrones, this would not be what they're setting out to do. They've established that, like, yeah, anyone could die at any moment, no one's safe, and that's just not the case anymore. Well, I went into this pretty much knowing Jon and Daenerys are safe, and as soon as Jon's surrounded with all these White Walkers, I was like, here comes the dragon fire, you know.
To that point, like, what if in season 1, when Ned starts about to get his head cut off, Arya takes Needle and throws it and, like, kills the executioner. Ned runs away, and, like, it's this big scene where they're escaping King's Landing and they make it out. It'd be like, yeah, that would have been a cool scene in any other TV show, not Game of Thrones. And that's kind of what this was.
Yeah, it's just at the point where, like, I think I'm watching this show for a different reason than other people were, because I'm sure this episode is going to get praised completely. And I don't want to bring anyone else down. This has been a bummer for me the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, just because I feel like it's kind of swayed, you know.
How do you think this makes you guys look at the past 2 episodes? Because the last 2 episodes were just reminiscing and kind of closing things up. Do you think this changes how you look at those past 2 episodes at all?
Well, one thing to think about, a lot of those reminiscing and all that in character moments, a lot of those characters weren't the ones that died.
I know, right?
None of them.
Yeah.
Almost. I mean, yeah.
We got a Theon moment last episode, a little one, and that's about it as far as the characters that are a little Jorah. Mm-hmm. But no, like you would, the way they set up, you think, okay, maybe Brienne or Jaime are going to die. But no.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it does weaken. Like last week, I've rewatched some of last week, and the more I think about last week's episode, the more I love it. But I do think this kind of cheapens it a little bit, because, like, yeah, if we had that awesome, like, these awesome character moments, and it's like, oh god, we're all gonna die, and then it came into here and you saw these people, like, giving their life for this fight, that would have felt, you know, you would have felt a lot more for it, I feel like, you know.
Yeah, looking back on it, I feel like it's less earned now. Like, it's weird that, like, they had this episode, but they were going to earn it with later episodes that came afterwards, but now it's like, oh, feels kind of cheap now. Yeah. Although we still have 3 episodes to go, so anything could happen.
We are definitely getting to the point in this show, though, now that if people die, like it's too late it's too late in all of this, and you've done too many like, oh, they're gonna die, no they're not, oh, they're gonna die, no they're not. Like now, if they die now, it's like, okay, I mean, it's the end of the show. It's like it's no longer, it's at least not gonna like almost no death is gonna surprise me probably anymore. I mean, I'm sure I'll regret saying that. There'll be a few, but
to be frank, also, I'm kind of honestly not really looking forward to the next 3 episodes. They just seem like they're gonna kind of be anticlimactic. Like, this was the big battle of the season. Who's Cersei's army gonna fight against? 10 people at Winterfell? Like,
but they're 10 people with names.
Hey. Yeah, they have plot armor. The only people Cersei had is, well, Cersei and the Mountain, I guess.
And the whole new plot army is going to come out and help them fight against Cersei. Just a plot army out of nowhere. It's going to be great.
The Mountain has plot armor until the Hound enters the room. Yeah, but
the Hound has slightly stronger plot
let's talk
armor.
about this, because like last week, I'm pretty sure we were all pretty much on the same page that we thought there's no way they beat the Night King this episode. Like, there's no way they win this battle. The White Walkers are going to end up going south. I think we were all pretty much on the same page there.
Yeah.
And that did not happen. They win here, so all the White Walkers are gone. 3 episodes left of Game of Thrones. It is interesting. Like, what
talk about subverting expectations, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll give them, like, if there was only like 1 or 2 episodes left, it would be like, okay, we're just gonna wrap this up. But with 3, it's like, okay, we're going somewhere else, And the political, like, scheming war, like that kind of war of Game of Thrones is what interests me the most. So I am definitely interested where we're going. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on them almost like, like ripping out the main antagonist in the second act almost here? Like, what do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I think after seeing this episode, I'm more and more convinced that we're going to get a happy Disney ending with Daenerys on the throne and everyone clapping, and it's going to be, that's how the season's going to end. And
what a
Jon
bummer.
will probably be alive, or there'll be a slow motion death scene with him and her and crying in arms and all that kind of stuff. But
that's a fucking terrible ending. I really hope that doesn't happen. But I think you're right. I'm really, this is going to be a Disney ending, and it's just so not Game of Thrones. It's a massive letdown.
Yeah.
If that is what happens, I'd be very upset.
I guess as the Night King's done now, we can get to the whole Jon being a Targaryen thing and that coming back up and being an issue.
Yeah, I guess Game of Thrones could still. I mean, Game of Thrones has to have a bittersweet ending, or it's not Game of Thrones. It's not even remotely the show that it ever once was, which I do think we're gearing up towards something with that. Like, there has to be more conflict between Jon and Daenerys, or I'll scream. If they just work everything out and it's great. I'm gonna be pretty pissed.
I had this thought of the scene. Everyone, he stabs the Night King, everything dies, and then he's alone in the courtyard, and he just looks around and goes, "I'm the true king!" He can finally just shout it because no one's around.
In all
seriousness, he just
seriousness,
never mentions it again.
In all seriousness, though, Daenerys is there's gonna be no conflict there with Daenerys and Jon, because everyone who cared about Jon being the king of the North and not Daenerys, most of those people are dead in the battle.
Yeah.
Who's really going to contend? Jon's not going to, so it's probably going to be. It's just going to work out in Daenerys' favor.
I mean, Daenerys also. It looks like Daenerys lost like almost all of her Dothraki. I think they both have.
And
Unsullied,
mostly gone.
I mean, so I think both of them are almost on an even playing field as far as just like their armies being decimated, and it's just
she's still got the dragons though.
Yeah. But, I mean, if there ends up being some sort of, like, civil war almost, for lack of a better word, between Jon's people and Daenerys' people, like, I don't think... I wouldn't expect either one of them to be, like, any better off than the other as far as, like, numbers. But that could be the bittersweet ending of Game of Thrones, or that could be just the complete horrible ending of Game of Thrones, is they beat the White Walker threat and then tear themselves apart, and Cersei wins. Like, I guess that's possible. I think there's like a 2% chance of that happening.
I have no idea what to expect.
There's no third option that we don't see coming that would usually be the Game of Thrones ending.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in 3 weeks.
I mean, like, how do you think this is going to go? Like, there's 3 battles. Do you think there's going to be some big battle with Cersei, or do you think it's going to end in some other way? Like,
I imagine it's going to be a battle with Cersei. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to generally go the way we've been talking, Night King, and then probably some battle with Cersei and Lannisters, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I guess it's now accelerating because the Night King was...
But it's going to feel so weird because like Holden said, I feel like there is going to be another battle, but it's not going to be anywhere near as like much as this battle, it feels like.
It couldn't
possibly
be.
It's almost going to be a little bit of a weird way to end this, you know.
I think it might be more of a battle of wits.
I don't think there's going to be... I think it's going to be battle of wits. I don't think there's going to be any major battle at this point. Because just what army... If there's any battle of might, Cersei wins because she at least has an army.
I want there to be an Ocean's 11 style planning meeting, and we hear, all right, here's our plan, and then we see them acting out the plan. And they're like heist style, sneaking into King's Landing, and that's what I want.
Bran's like the hacker person who like knows what's going on and sits in the back.
He's the guy in the chair.
Literally, I'll tap into some birds.
Literally
Cersei's walking down the hall. Yeah.
And you hear the music. Dung, 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 dung.
I mean, he could be in a raven. He could be in a raven, like spying out, scoping out the place.
And you just see Arya doing cartwheels and backflips through the hallways. Yeah.
No, she doesn't have to. She could just wear someone's face and then just go.
That's right.
Yeah, I do feel like with
use Jaime Lannister's face and then goes into King's Landing. Jaime Lannister's face.
She'd have to kill Jaime. That'd be messed up. If Jaime died in this battle, that would be easier. She'd be like, yeah, he's not using it anymore, but he is still using his face.
That's fair. They do have to kill Jaime Lannister to do that. Jaime's probably not up for that.
Well, I do feel like they have to do Arya being able to wear people's faces again at some point. Like, I feel like Walder Frey was like the last time that was used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was a while ago. That was the beginning of season 7.
Or the theory that she used a White Walker face to get close to the Night King. There's also that.
That White Walker face turned to ice cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could absolutely see her using someone's face to get to Cersei. Especially with, now that we have 3 episodes to go towards like the political side of this and like now trying to get Cersei down, I feel like that's going to be one of the ends.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be Euron. It'll be like really weird. But Euron, you're being like way too nice. What's wrong with you?
Also, what is Yara doing way up there in the Iron Islands?
Chilling on a beach.
You think she's going to let everyone else just fight it out until they all kill themselves and then she's going to be queen of the world?
No, maybe she'll bring a fleet of ships or something. I don't know, though.
She's going to show up to Winterfell like, I decided to help out. Oh.
About Theon.
Yeah.
The one thing I hope more than anything, though, is as messed up as the way that Cersei was killing them was, I really hope the 2 Sand Snake people are actually dead because I really just don't want to see them back on the show. God, they're so terrible. Well, all right. Well, do you guys have any more lasting thoughts or just thoughts for the coming 3 episodes, which is just kind of in a way feels like a lot after this battle, but
yeah. 4 hours worth of Game of Thrones left.
Yeah, all of these are like 80 minutes long, right? All the rest of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Put that on the box. All the rest are 80 minutes long. Exclamation point.
No, I think that's all the thoughts I got.
All right. Yeah, I kind of actually after watching that, I expected this to be a shorter one, but overall, I don't know. Overall, I did not like the episode all that much, but I think there was a lot of fun things about it.
Yeah.
You're just comparing it to In-Game Derby.
That's the problem, is we also Endgame this weekend, and that was perfect.
Yes. Oh, In-Game is about like 20 times better than...
Yeah, talk about subverting expectations.
Yeah, definitely anyone listening to this in the same podcast feed, we will do a in-game spoilercast at some point. Whenever we can get Will on here, we will be doing that. Hopefully this week.
You guys are friends with Will I Am?
Yeah, Will I Am is going to join our podcast.
That's crazy.
I'm really excited about it. All right, well, thank you guys, everyone, watching this. Tune in next week and the 2 weeks after that for the wrap up of Game of Thrones. Let's do it. Hopefully, I feel a little bit better in the coming weeks. All right. You guys want to let everyone know where they can find you?
Respawn Aim Fire on Twitter and
That's
everything
it.
else.
Same.
That's the one.
Respawn Aim Fire.
Whoa, same for both of them. Wow.
Whoa.
That's crazy. We invited them independently, and they just happened to be both of them.
Crazy how that works.
Oh, weird.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.